This podcast is rated PG-13. Parents strongly cautioned. Some material may be inappropriate for children under 13. Mission to
Hey guys,
What?
we watched the last Miyazaki movie we're probably going to watch on this podcast.
You never say never, but yes,
Yeah.
probably.
And
Most likely.
Unless he cranks out another one before he does.
I mean, it would be nice to go out on a better note. I mean, you know.
Oh, TC, I'm muting TC.
Shots
He's not a part of the
fired!
podcast.
Shots fired.
Get out. Leave.
Oh man.
Oh man, that
Arguably
wasn't even
one of the
directed
better.
at Leoners.
No, arguably it's one of the better ones that he's ever visually put together. But,
Right. Okay, so spoiler alert.
Spoiler
here in this.
alert. Yeah,
There's
definitely.
a lot that we're going to talk about that if you're interested in Ghibli, you should see this, I think.
Yeah.
In the theater.
We are in the theater. There's a lot.
Yeah.
You see it in the theater. It's freaking beautiful.
It is.
But I
It
will.
is. That
yes,
I will
anyway,
give it. I will.
Just
I will
saying
give
that
it.
there are things we will talk about
that
and
are going to
describe
ruin.
that are,
You know.
it's just great to see it without knowing the stuff you're going to see, the stuff you see.
Yeah.
So one of those films where it certainly is spoiled by talking about it, but hey, make your choice. But
Yeah.
Anyway, let's talk about it.
All right, so John, it's you.
Yes, saw The Boy and the Heron, and went and saw it in the theater. I had already flown back from Salt Lake City that day, so I was really tired, like even more. And I didn't get to go because we had to try to get the kids to sleep, so I didn't go see it until like 7:30 at night.
You're making it sound like that's late. That's like
Well, it was late for
Yeah,
me.
right.
Late for
Most
a
people
grumpy
going
old
home from
dad.
work at
Late,
that point.
late for a grumpy old dad.
Yeah.
I'd already missed the early bird special dinner.
Right.
You know, grumpy. Didn't get my warm milk and toast. Didn't have time. So I saw it, and it is beautiful. The imagery, the animations are fucking
Stunning.
amazing to see.
Stunning.
The fire animations early on.
Oh, dude, when he's
were
running through that.
unbelievable.
Awesome.
Fucking
Awesome.
unbelievable.
I know.
Right?
Awesome.
But then you see all these little things like the way the bed sheets move when he like moves them, or when all the little things too are fucking stunning. I think just beautiful. The way you see objects interact and stuff, and how it's animated. Seeing that on the big screen is awesome.
It really was.
Agreed.
I think if I were to have a singular complaint here, one of the things about seeing it in the theater is the accompanying soundtrack is a lot louder than I might normally have it be, and the plinky piano fucking did not work for me.
I didn't
Really?
think it would work either. And where was the rest of the sound? I was missing
don't
so
know.
much of the sound. It was like they were doing it on purpose, but I was just like, why am I not hearing any of the backgrounds? Why are we so focused on his feet? I don't understand it.
I would rather
anyway.
hear the ambient sounds, which were there, but
They were there
the-
because I kept checking. So I kept like looking around and being like, is it just the theater? Am I missing? I'm like, no, they're there. They're there. I can hear them, but they're just not loud enough. Like, what is going on?
But for some reason, the score.
I don't even know what you guys are talking
emphasized-
about.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
to throw that out there.
Okay, so the score was emphasized a lot more, and maybe in the theater, maybe. Just
maybe
because I'm
it's
seeing
the
it in theater,
theaters. Maybe they weren't properly
and it's loud.
calibrated or something, because something seemed wrong in my theater.
Something seemed off to me,
Yeah.
but
Really?
But for me,
Yeah.
it was just I didn't like all the plinky piano. The plinky piano, plink, 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 plinkety, plink, plink. I just thought it was. To me, it was distracting.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand like using what is there? There's some film or was it a trailer where there was like it would do a cut with every plink of a piano, like plink, plink, and it would.
Oh,
do
is
a
that
cut.
Atonement?
I don't know
Maybe.
what
It was like a typewriter.
like
They
that
had
would
the
be
typewriter as the.
Maybe I'm not sure what it was. But for
Yeah,
some
no,
reason, it
Denny,
seemed
that
like-
actually is a good. That's a good analogy. The typewriter. I know exactly what
Yeah.
you're talking about.
Plink.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was distracting to me. The ones I was I tried to ignore it. But so that aside, which is something like
I really want to
might
know.
not-
We got to do a follow up to see if it was your theater or if you get when you rent this later, if you
Right.
have the same issue. Like
maybe
because I
it's
didn't.
more, but
Yeah,
I know
go
people have had like what was the movie that we there was another movie you watched where they actually re-edited they redid the balance.
That was Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, or the newest Spider-Man, whichever one.
Right,
that
where
was.
they had a hard time hearing dialogue because of the audio mix.
I mean, my
don't know.
first note is
Right.
not impressed with the sound or score. So
Right.
I don't know what
Right.
it was. It could be maybe the fact that it was
It
the
might
theater.
be.
I mean,
It could have been because those
Because-
two were the
And
like
you
some of
saw-
the highlights
you saw,
for me.
You
Oh,
saw it
wow.
dubbed, right? You saw
I
it
saw it
dubbed, right?
dubbed.
I saw it
Exactly.
dubbed. I saw it
So
dubbed.
maybe
Based on
maybe
Denny's
they
advice.
fucked up something in the dub delivery because
I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't get that though. I mean, I'm usually pretty critical with audio, and I thought it was really good. The sound. So
I don't know what it was. The plinky piano really was like overdone to me. I didn't like it. I don't mind that as like an accent every now and then, but man, it was all over.
So are you talking about Are you talking about the mix, or are you talking about the music itself, or both?
Both.
It's both. To me, the little plink.
Piano was too high, and the rest of the audio was missing.
The piano was too much in my face. When it came in, the piano was too much in my face, and I don't mind that as an accent every now and then. But it seemed like my takeaway from the score was sometimes the piano wasn't there, and I liked it a lot better. But when the piano was there, it was like it's very simple piano stuff too. It felt very rudimentary.
The awful piano doesn't help, is what I wrote.
See, I'm glad, TC, that you're here to back me up on this.
I have all sorts of notes that are backing you up on this. Yeah,
but otherwise, the visuals are fucking awesome.
Yeah.
I love how the film felt mundane at first, and even that was beautiful and spectacular. And then it goes crazy town in the half.
Did you have the thing when the heron got on screen and its mouth was so weird? You're like, what the fuck is going on inside the
why
mouth?
Did they give it teeth? When you first see it and it has teeth, and you're like, what the fuck? That does not make sense. Why?
I know. And then it like all of a sudden looks like an old man. It's so weird.
And then it has that. I love it.
It's so good.
And I love it. I mean, the fucking army of parakeets is so fucking
but
cool.
What was it for though? It was so random.
I don't know.
It's Alice in Wonderland. It doesn't need to make sense.
Yes, it does. Because the rest of the movie was so targeted, that first half.
I guess so, but I like the fantasticalness of the second half just because of the imagination running wild. It's sort of like so this is not based on a book, even though there's the book like How Do You Live Your Life as an Influence. The book has very little to do with the movie. There are no parakeet armies in the book, for example. But and I do have Book Corner where I go through his afterword of the Turning Point book, which is really, really good. So don't let me forget that.
Okay.
But yeah, I kind of like the two halves of it. I liked how the seriousness of the first half in a sense, and being able to appreciate how detailed things were, like saying the lake or the bed sheets or the wind or the fire, and how beautiful it was. I like that. And then when it goes, and then I also like that the second half of the film goes into the fantasy realm and everything gets batshit crazy. And the animations there are also like gorgeous, right? But it's also weird too. So again, I mean, the parakeets are probably my favorite thing. I just love this idea of taking the little budgie bird, and it's this little harmless bird sort of that's cute, whatever. But then you have these like armies of like sort of like, annoying, brutish, like parakeets, fucking parakeets. I love it. That alone makes this movie awesome to me. But I didn't. Again, I'll be really interested to hear your eventual take on it, Diddy, because it just seems like I didn't get it. There's a lot here that I wasn't sure I got.
Right.
And maybe it all makes sense.
Nope.
But maybe
not to me it doesn't.
No.
But you know what? That's going to lead to a lot of rewatches.
You're gonna watch it again,
That's right.
Final note was not sure what the point of this movie was.
Right. So maybe it's a Miyazaki thing where you're not sure.
It's not. I think it's his old age. Because I mean, what happened?
He's like fucking demented.
Yeah, he's like completely out of his mind.
Howl's Moving Castle was the same.
Spirited Away
is typical,
but I think there was more. It was more exciting in some of the older ones.
No.
This was like a very realistic story about human interaction and losing someone and grief and
right.
And it was powerful in that first half. I thought I was like really in. And then things started going the other direction, and I was like, "What is going on here?"
That I didn't. I wanted to be more moved than I was about him meeting his mom and his mom.
I was confused.
I don't know
what in the moment.
I know. Was that really his
I was
mom?
Like, wait a minute.
Was that
the
other one?
What the fuck?
But I wanted to have an arrival moment, right? To spoil another film, which you might want to bleep out. I don't know. But that moment in Arrival is so fucking powerful when she talks about. When she says you're worth this, you are worth it, and I know what's going to happen. It's going to be bad, but we're going to do this anyway. And that is like a beautiful and powerful thing about the film. And I felt like this film was trying to do that a little bit too. For his mom to say, "I'm going to die. I'm going to go back there, but I'm going to have you, and that's worth it. And you're a good kid." And it did not hit me at all emotionally, and I wanted it to. I was bummed.
No, the whole second half of the movie was a different movie.
Yeah. It didn't hit you either, Denny?
No, it didn't. But I didn't really mind because I I generally just walked out of the film just being in awe, basically. Like the amount of. I didn't get like specific story emotions, but the movie gave me general emotions.
Well, the imagination,
the imagery,
and the visuals. Yeah. It's fucking amazing. I'm happy to have seen it. In the
and there's
not
you're not going to get any disagreement from me there.
Yeah.
Period.
So I agree too. I
can't say that it made total sense, and I think they probably put the plot point. Sense. I think I'll let you know in 3 years if it makes sense or not when I watch it 10 more times.
Watch it 10 more times.
But I think they put the reveal of her being his mother too close to the scene that you want to be the emotional, release or whatever you want to call it, right? The scene that you want to feel emotional in was too close to the reveal, and you're just like, wait a minute. How does this make any sense? And you're too busy being like trying to absorb the twist.
Didn't you know it was his? Didn't you know it was his mother? Pretty much when she says it was her when she talks about it being her sister. Like that the other woman he was looking for is her sister. Like I knew then that was his mother.
I didn't get that.
I didn't get that either.
No.
Dude, I spent half the movie being like, wait a minute, is that guy really his ex-wife's younger sister? Like, who the fuck is this?
Oh, yeah.
Why do they get married so quickly, and how is she already pregnant? It's been like less than a year.
I spent most of the time thinking that too. Like, I'm so confused on who these two people are, if they're two people or not, and why I'm supposed to link them.
Yeah, and it was like in a theater too, so like I couldn't just like turn. Naomi apparently understood it more, or go back, or just turn and talk to somebody. Wait a minute, she's really doing this? Okay, all right.
I could have turned to like that weird guy that was sitting by me all by himself too, and be like, "Hey, you get this, buddy? I don't know.
Is this normal? Was this normal for the time? I guess it's war times. Am I supposed to accept this? I don't know. I feel a little confused.
Right? Yeah,
there was definite confusion. I can't disagree with that. And I see that's like one of the biggest criticisms it's getting across the board.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, because I honestly think after trying to make a lot of sense out of his other movies that they don't make a ton of sense. So it's not surprising. And
that works
to me.
well. That makes them, that gives them
But I
their
think that the
longevity,
fantastical elements he has in the other ones have a reason to be there, though. Some of these didn't. It didn't seem like it all the time. Like, it was just like, this is a weird thing for weird thing's sake. Why is it like that? Nobody cares. And,
well, it's because his bloodline is he needs to get the kid to save the multiverse or whatever the fuck.
Right.
Like,
but like,
I don't
still,
know.
like it was not as impressive as, say, the last one we watched.
No, I agree. So something we made a point of with Spirited Away is, even if we didn't understand it, it felt like it belonged. Like somehow we didn't know why it was there or whatever, but in Spirited Away, it didn't maybe make sense to us, but it felt like it was there, and it always had been there. And this was the way things were.
Well, because we were in that world, and we accepted the world.
And that world seemed to have its own logic and fit together the way it was supposed to.
But the world they set up for us in this one was a very normal reality based.
Initially, but even when we get to the magical world, it just doesn't feel as coherent as Spirited Away did. No.
That's what I like that a little bit about it.
It could be good, and that's fine. But I think that's why
it's different enough. If it was like the same as Spirited Away, because it was kind of similar. Like the scene with the paper hitting the main character in this one is pretty similar to the one in Spirited Away.
Man, that it was. But when he walks into the birthing room, it's fucking amazing.
It is great.
Like with the way the papers are spinning around in circles. Fucking gorgeous. Yeah. It was fucking amazing.
It's amazing to see. It really is.
Yeah.
Just throw it on TC. Mute it. Just throw it on at a party. Mute it.
Sure.
People look
totally
at it.
Fine.
Be like,
they'll
this
be like,
is great.
You'll be you'll know as much as you need to.
You'll be less confused watching it on mute.
Right.
That's fine.
Right. Let's just pick a CD to listen to, or a CD. Let's just pick another album to listen to, and we'll.
I was thinking. I mean, I'm sure directors wouldn't want this ever, but it would be really nice if you buy a DVD or you stream a movie and you can adjust the dialogue versus the score.
I think you can with like if you have 5.1 sound systems, you can.
Oh yeah,
you can do that.
You do that?
Oh yeah,
you can mix your own audio.
Yeah, in 5.1 systems, you can adjust
Yeah.
each level individually from whatever they are giving you based on the.
That would be kind of cool.
So the disc has individual audio files for the different tracks.
No. The system
will let
has
you do
the ability to adjust each speaker on the fly, so you can change dialogue channels. You can change because it's decoding that information, and then once it's in the system, you can do whatever you want with it. So it's local to the.
It's like separated.
Yeah, it's local to your system that you have control over those speakers, so you can.
That's actually be really cool because like it'd be great to get this and then just like all right, let's.
Turn down like my system has the dialogue channel that you can just increase. So if it's too low, you just increase it. or the rear, the left and rights in the back. You can just bring those up if they're too low, and you make your own mix basically. And it works specifically because its main reason for doing that is for the rooms, because since these devices can't really fit every single room perfectly, so you might need changes.
So the director or whatever could say that, oh yeah, we have the perfect mix, but they have the perfect mix, say, for a theater,
for their perfectly
the
mixed
done
theater.
Well.
Yeah, right, exactly.
So they can't even make the argument this is how it's intended to be, because it wasn't intended to be watched in your little cubbyhole room.
And this is a huge industry issue at the moment for people that go on Netflix or Prime Video. They all have these complaints because they mix it perfectly, and then they get it on these devices and it ruins them.
Right, you can't fucking hear the, can't hear the audio, or then you start
to realize why nobody respects audio, because they're like, yeah, we don't give a shit. Your fucking devices are going to do it anyway. Yeah, right. Like we'll fix it.
It sound like shit like 90% of the time anyway.
Exactly. So. You're going to be listening on some tiny little speakers. Fucking, Anyway, I digress. Yeah. I got nothing else. I mean,
all right. It was a lot.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised. I walked out of the theater. I think
I was happy. I walked out happy to have seen it and feeling like, again,
I thought I wasted my time. I mean, not gonna lie. I was like, what the fuck was that? Jesus Christ.
How can you say you wasted your time if you're coming in hot on all the praise for
because
the animation?
Because it looked great,
too?
But I got sick of that about the hour and a half in when the story stopped making any sense and it started getting boring as fuck because nothing happens. I was like, all right, I guess this is
I can understand what TC's saying. Like the way it was going through the first half, it really felt like it was slowly developing some really powerful emotions.
Yes, and then all of a sudden.
And then you go to the parakeets.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's like
which are
were your theaters laughing?
Cool.
No, dude, there was four.
Oh yeah,
of us
they were
in
laughing. Some of the I liked actually being in the theater, which was actually like half full.
Yeah, I had like nobody
laughing at. I love the old ladies.
Yeah, the old ladies, the way they walked was hilarious.
Right. They were funny, weren't they? In the beginning, when they were like all gossiping and shit.
Right. And they're like so like over. It's almost like what a little kid would see old women like. They would see them almost as different creatures, not human. I really like that. It like really like exaggerated them in a way that made them really comical. Not like dislikable at all or anything, but they were almost like hobbits or something. They were like very like different creatures. So I did think that was really cool. There were a lot of laughs around the way the old ladies would talk and get grouchy because somebody had tobacco or whatever. But I can see what you see. I mean, I think this film was really a slow burn at first and moving and building his character, building his sense of loss, building him in this new place. And that is a different film than what happened once he goes into Fantasyland. Like Spirited Away, within 10, 15 minutes, you're in Crazy Town pretty quickly. You're not building the different world.
No, the normal world is the fantasy world.
Right. That's really like it goes into that real. All it wants to do in Spirited Away is establish that you kind of got a sort of bratty like kid. That's about the only thing it wants to do before it goes into Magic Town. Here, it really sits, and I like it. It sits and takes its time with the normal world part.
Totoro does that too.
Totoro. Yeah. Oh yeah. Totoro is great that way too. But when it gets all magic, Totoro still felt. The Totoro, though, it doesn't go like batshit crazy all the way either. It's always keeping that central thing about the girls and they're concerned about their mother. And Totoro feels very mundane in comparison. Even with the fantasy elements, the primary thread is still this relatively mundane sort of relationship with the sisters and the mom and her illness. Here, I can see where TC's coming from because I felt like that too. Like it was a shift of gears into not this slow building, and especially the way it ends too. It's like, and then we went back to Tokyo.
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
Right?
I was like, what? That's it?
Shit.
Like, okay.
I was at least thinking we might get a slow burn down because we had such a slow burn up that now that we're out of Fantasyland, there would be a
like a
tapering
resolve
off now.
section,
right?
Yeah.
There was a bit more like languid the way it was coming up to that part, no. But again, it was to me the ending was pretty damn abrupt. It's like, okay, that's the end.
Yeah,
went to Tokyo.
Yeah, well, all right
for you.
Cool. So you just had a normal life.
It's nice this time of year. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, so I could see. I mean, I was happy. I was happy to see it in a theater. But the the flow of it was different, and I didn't feel like satisfied with that in a way that I sort of felt like Spirited Away. But Spirited Away had that, again, you were in Magic Land the whole time, pretty much. 5 minutes beginning, 5 minutes end, or whatever, 10, 15 beginning, and you're back in normal land. Here, half the fucking movie is
in a village. Or in a rich place.
Is slow and in a rich place. And great. And I really liked how slow it was and how I could sit there and just like look at how they decided to detail a fucking room. Because it was good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It was beautiful. Like looking at books on the walls or looking at just the way they would like sort of detail the landscape. It's great.
Gorgeous stuff.
And I liked it. Yeah. So yeah, I can sort of see that point of it feeling a little disjointed in that sense.
I can see that too.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not as mad as TC, but I sort of get it.
I'm not mad. I'm just saying that's what I was feeling.
But
when I
walking,
left,
saying you felt I
was walking away, felt like I wasted my time. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's harsh,
It is harsh.
Is it?
Yeah.
A little
Why
harsh.
is that harsh?
Harsh.
It's not
That's
that
2 hours of your
It's
life you're
fine.
never getting back to.
Well, that's what I'm
opinion.
saying. 2 hours is very important to me. So I mean,
It's
this
an
was
opinion.
just not something that I resonate. Let's look at. I'll put it this way: it did not resonate with me. Okay, how's that? Yeah.
I get what you're saying, TC, because I wanted to feel more, and I didn't feel the emotional sort of payoff that I was expecting, given this.
Given the
build-up.
subject matter.
Right,
Dead
right.
mother. These are like
right.
Like if
No,
you put all this
boy-
stuff on paper, right? It all has a heavy hitting to it. You're like,
Yeah,
okay.
I
I was
agree.
like getting ready. I'm like, this is going to be maybe pretty sad.
I agree.
Like this is going to be. And then all of a sudden, I was like, what the fuck is going on here? But it wasn't like I was like, oh fuck this. It was just like I'm confused. Am I supposed to be confused?
Yeah.
Why am I confused?
Or
Who's
why
that
am I
girl?
not?
Yeah.
Why am I not?
Is that girl?
Why do I
Is
not-
that girl
is it
related to the
intentional?
other girl? Is that
Right.
where's the mother? Is that the? So we're telling me that the kid is going into crazy world because the dad likes some other woman. What is going on here? You know what I mean? I was like so confused, and then I was like, "That's the mother? Is that the mother? I can't tell if that's the mother. I don't know what's going on here." This is what.
Yeah,
was
so the
going
mother
on
is
in my
the
head.
sister.
Yeah.
I couldn't.
Yeah.
I was unsure.
The
Right.
mother is the sister.
Yeah.
That's right. So in the real world, my sense was dad, mom died, burned up in a fire. Dad marries her sister, gets her pregnant real quick.
Real quick. It's war times, John. Don't judge. It's war times.
Just like real
Whatever.
quick, like almost like it was like the mother died.
She was pregnant before they freaking
almost making you wonder if there was something going on before she burned up. I don't know,
Let's,
man.
It
let's
was
not
real
go into that
similar.
story. We're gonna go into some weird
Right.
story about
But,
some
yeah.
fucking.
But I agree. The emotional,
Troll.
the emotional payoff wasn't there, and I wanted it. And I was sort of kind of bummed. It's like I really wanted to feel more for what was going on there, and maybe Spirited Away in a way is almost lighter in this odd sense of it's really more about a girl, just a little girl, kind of growing up a bit and getting more confidence. Discovering that she can do things. It's not as heavy there. Even as like boy knows his mom burned to death and is trying to deal with that and come up with and his dad's moving on with his life and he can't yet and he doesn't know what to do with it. That's all really heavy and it's not. I don't feel like it's addressed in a sense in the second half, which I totally expect it to be. I expect the whole point here. We're building up to this in that first half. We're going to go and address this even if it's in a fantastical way. I assume that's what's happening, right? That the whole part of this fantasy world with the parakeets and what have you is to sort of accentuate what he's struggling with, and that he's struggling with the death of his mom, and he has to come and accept it. And I just don't feel like I don't get it. I'm wanting to get it. I'm wanting to get that sort of like sense of like, all right, this is like
You got to balance
an
the toy blocks,
allegory, or
John.
this
Come on,
is-
you don't get it. Come on, John.
You're
It's
right,
pretty
right.
simple.
Yeah, I didn't get it, but I still liked it. I still liked all the fantasy stuff, and it was awesome to watch. And the characters were still fun. They weren't as fun, other than parakeets, but they were still interesting. I like I like that the old lady. You get to see her as a young sailor. I like that. And I didn't really quite understand it, but the idea of the dolls around him for protection that were these old women, that was cool. But knowing that sailor becomes one of those old women, the one old woman that was kind of the stern one,
The one that followed him into the tower.
Right, yeah. I think that was cool, right?
Yeah.
To think about the relationship somehow in this world, like time is different, and so you're there, and then you go to the real our world, and so you might be older, and I don't know how all that shit works, whatever. But it's still that was still kind of neat, that you see her as your younger self, and she's this pirate, or whatever she is. She's like this strong action figure, fisherwoman. But so again, lots of cool stuff.
The Warawaras, the little white guys that float up into the sky. That was pretty hilarious.
Yeah,
fat little balloons.
Not as cute as the little. I mean, watching this right after Spirited Away, it's like, yeah, those guys.
You like
are
the
cute,
dust motes better?
But those little dust motes are still cuter.
Yeah,
they still had more personality than Warawaras. So
people busted out laughing whenever those little Warawaras are on the screen just because of how cute they were.
They are adorable, but they're not as cute as the little whatever they were called.
And then they just got massacred towards the end of the from the friggin'
eaten by pelicans.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I still just love the imagination. At the same time, it's like, so I still appreciate it. I just felt like there was a whole thread of a story and emotional stuff going on that I wanted to see. I wanted to keep that. I wanted that to keep going in the imagination, or when we got to Fantasyland, and it felt like that just wasn't there.
It's a tall order there, John.
I know.
Making sense at the end of one of these movies. I don't know.
I know.
I mean, he's done it before, though.
It seems difficult for him.
But
especially in his 80s.
It's hard. Yeah. But think about other Ghibli movies, Denny. Did any other film have this sort of hour-long first half of build-up and then go somewhere else?
I mean, they were still
that's Totoro.
They were still introducing characters, though, in this one at halfway point.
Yeah, I know.
And that's never a good sign.
I still feel like the fantastical elements of Totoro were still more sprinkled in.
I guess when they went through the brush in the backyard to Totoro's lair, I felt like it was the same kind of door to a different dimension, but they didn't stay in there.
No, they didn't at all, right? They're still back in the real world,
right?
Like most of the time, like I'd say like 80% of that movie is still, even after you get into Fantasyland. I'm just picking a percentage at random, but a good chunk of it is still that they're still in their real world, even with the fantastical elements. Mm-hmm. Here, it seems like a 50-50 split.
It does. It's midpoint, right? And then it changes. Right? Exactly.
And I think that makes it harder. I think it would have been, again, I could have kept the emotional elements if somehow they were still keeping, that's one of the beautiful things about Totoro, I think, is that you have these absurdly fantastical elements, but it's still this story, this small story about these sisters and their ailing mom. The mom doesn't even die, she's just sick. And I think that it just makes that movie really touching, in that it's kind of has a small scale to it. But it still keeps, it's still firmly rooted in the real world and the relationship of the sisters and how they feel about their mother. And that's what makes that movie really special. This one, it just doesn't keep that thread going.
I found the shift halfway through to be, unique enough and startling, where I was kind of really excited to kind of say, okay, this movie just threw out all the rules and I don't know what's going to happen. And I'm excited to see where it takes me, because it seemed to have just broken the narrative structure that I was building.
That's his clout that he allows him to get there. Right?
And again,
he also has a beautiful masterpiece of a picture up there too, so it makes it a lot easier. I mean,
plus, I'm sitting there you guys know I love these movies. I watch them on repeat. This is the first. I did see The Wind Rises in the theater, but that's just a straightforward story. It's a really good movie, but I have not seen a fantasy Ghibli in the theater, and also I haven't seen a new Ghibli in over 10 years.
And that alone is going to get you super excited,
Right, and knowing that this is probably his last movie, I'm sitting there, even if I'm not, it's not making sense to me. I'm just this is new, this is beautiful, I love this. I'll watch whatever he wants me to look at. I'll be happy sitting here looking at it.
That's fair.
The imagination is second to none still. Again, fucking Parakeet Army. I love it, right? It's just fucking amazing, right? So
Dave Bautista as the Parakeet King? Yeah, good casting right there.
Yeah, he was fun. But he actually was the one that was instantly recognizable to me.
Yeah. Did you guess the heron?
No.
Did you look it up?
Yeah, I did.
No.
TC, did you know who the heron was?
No.
Did you look it up?
No.
Would you have a guess? You'll never be able to guess.
Never.
Robert Pattinson.
Weird.
With the growly heron voice.
That's so crazy.
It's very strange.
I mean, I think that was cool when I realized that some of the actors that I was hearing, I was like, "Now that's cool because it's a modern thing that we're now our age group is a part of." right? Where like we weren't really all these old ones we'd watched. You'd never know who's who doing any of the voice acting because it's So I thought that cool.
I wonder what Pattinson had to do before he got into the voice acting part. He had some real weird things that he was doing. Right, just sort of.
It's like, true. He had to like put himself inside a bird.
I have to go throw up before I do my vocal lines. I'm so into it. I gotta like stick feathers in my eyes. Whatever. I don't know.
He just smoked a bunch of cigarettes.
But he did a great. But he was great. Like Batista was just so like, oh yeah, that's Drax. He just has a way of speaking, that not just his like. Not the sound of his voice, but the way he enunciates and pauses things. It's like instantly Drax, which was still fun. It's fine. It's like Drax could be the parakeet king. That's totally fine.
It was good. I mean, I'm still glad I went in the sense of like, it's what you're saying, Denny, given the respect it's got, due.
Yeah. And I feel like there was like high expectations, and I felt like they were met. Like even after just watching Spirited Away, watching this in the big screen, I had a hard time. It looks as good, and I thought if better a little bit than Spirited Away. Maybe just because I've seen Spirited Away so many times, but like watching all these things for the first time was really awesome.
I don't know if Spirited Away is much to compare with, like in particular those fire effects were fucking amazing.
I thought the landscape stuff was really awesome. Like all the first half when he's just walking around outside the house and stuff, like was
I
really
beautiful.
good looking.
And it really took its time to let you look at it. It was really like relaxed in its pace. It let you really just sit there and be in those scenes, which I really liked how it did that.
Yeah.
Other than the fucking piano. Blink, blink.
I liked the music. Blink. I thought it was good. Yeah. I thought this was awesome. I thought everyone else was going to like it a lot more. I didn't really read the reviews or anything, but people have criticisms. It's not on the top 250. I'm surprised to hear
it's going to be a tough one commercially.
I thought critics were generally favorable towards it.
No, I think a lot of people are saying it's boring.
Well, it's weird because with movies like this, you give it a high number score, but then you read the review and there's a lot of criticisms in there.
Yeah.
So it's like, I guess,
a little bit.
I mean, I would kind of do the same thing where I can't disagree with the confusing parts of it, right? And it probably doesn't make any sense, and it totally changes the tone. And if you want it to lead the first half into something satisfying in the second half, you're not going to get it, right? I'm pretty sure
right? Yeah,
no matter how many times you're going to watch it, you're not going to get that.
But I would still like to see it again, knowing all this now, knowing what's to come, and then just appreciating it. Like I think one of the things that made this watching disappointing is just I was expecting certain things to pay off, and they didn't. So if I watch it again, knowing that those things are not going to happen, and still get to look forward to seeing Parakeet land, which I really liked, then I think it's probably going to. I bet I'll enjoy it more the second time because I don't have these expectations about these certain things happening.
That's why I kind of liked the first watch, because I mean we all went in blind, right? Because this movie kind of famously did zero advertising. All they had was a poster. There was no trailer, nothing.
Oh, wow.
They wanted word of mouth, and they were doing it because they wanted the second half to be a surprise. And I was surprised. I didn't know what to expect. And the first half, I was like, okay, this is going to be like a pretty straightforward drama, and I'm here for it.
This is going to be like more like Grave of the Firefly, or not Grave of Fireflies, but more just normal.
Yeah,
right? We're not going to
like
go
The Wind
into
Rises, which is just a straight animated drama about a guy who built airplanes. Oh, and that's what this one kind of seemed like too for a while, especially with the airplane parallel. The dad was selling the tops to the zero plane
the
things.
Yeah.
But I really appreciated just like the left turn, and when the bird started looking really weird, I was just like, is this my mind playing tricks on me? Like, what the fuck is wrong with this bird?
Oh, yeah. No. Right when they showed the teeth, I was like, that's not right.
But then you could see like his weird nose like poking out underneath it too. I'm like, this is fucking weird.
It only got a little bit bigger and bigger as it went, and I thought that was a great slow reveal. Yeah.
And I was like, is he hiding inside of one of these birds, or is he a part of this thing? Like, what is this? Who is this guy?
Right.
And they don't really ever tell you, but it's pretty cool watching it. And it just seemed like kind of like an Alice in Wonderland type of thing, where like it was just a lot of interesting settings, one after the other.
Oh yeah. Again, I once we went into that direction, I was really happy. It's just, I was going to say that.
Yeah.
I've already
you've said it.
The expectation is there like 10 times.
Yeah.
Like a fucking broken record. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's all I got to say.
Yeah,
I mean, I would recommend it to people that like animation.
Yeah, I would. I mean, if you like a slow movie that's animated, it's your movie.
Yeah.
If you're looking for excitement, it's not your movie.
It's going on high rotation, guys. This one's going to be in the high rotation section of the Ghibli
That's
one.
good.
Oh, yeah,
well,
for
that,
sure.
That speaks well. That speaks well.
I'd watch it again right now if it was available. I didn't have to go out and spend money to do it.
I'd like to watch it too. I'd like to put it on. But yeah.
Can't go to the theaters now though. You got all these diseases going around and
Dude,
stuff.
I swear I got sick after going because I'm just getting. I got sick again from that cold I had last week.
Oh shit!
But I mean, I'm okay now today. But it lasted like literally 24 hours, and it was right after I got out of the fucking theater. So,
good thing your immune system was already fighting stuff off.
Gross thing, right? Theaters, like they don't fucking clean that place down. There's kids fucking sneezing everywhere and shit.
Oh yeah, you're just shoving. You have your mouth open the entire time, just shoving popcorn and friggin' Junior Mints in there.
I know. It's gross.
Disgusting.
Someone spills their soda and no one picks it up, so you're bringing home soda on the bottom of your shoe, dragging it into your house.
Yeah. That sounds about right. Or it's on your ass because it's on the seat. You don't even know.
Oh yeah.
Good time.
You're sitting down and someone else's crunchy popcorn
in the theater.
We got Dune 2 coming out early next year. TC.
What are we? What are we watching? Wonka. That's what I want to know.
Ooh, Wonka. You want to go? You're not going to go see it Christmas Day with your family?
You want it?
I'm going to definitely see that movie, yeah.
It looks pretty weird, I'll watch it too.
I'm going to watch it. I love
you want to do it?
Story.
Well, you can do it.
We could.
That story.
But, so we're going to take a little break after this episode for the holidays and stuff.
Yeah.
Right, the Oscars. So many movies are becoming available to watch right now, and there's a lot of really good ones.
You haven't seen a lot of them, so.
Yeah, because they've been unavailable.
So what are we doing next then?
Well, we got a lot more on this one. We got Johnny's Book Corner first.
Oh, okay.
I reminded you, John. There you go.
Thank you.
And I got some trivia stuff too, but Johnny can go first.
All right.
Well, I can go. So this is from. So again, there are these two books, Starting Point and Turning Point by Miyazaki, and they're basically like collections of his writings and talks and interviews around these films.
That's cool.
And they are awesome. So if you like this guy, you should check out these books because it's just pretty amazing. You really get like. And he's very expressive. He talks a lot about what he thinks about these things, and he writes about them, and he writes treatments of before he like in many of these films, he's had like, here's what the film's going to be about. He writes it out, and those are in these books.
That's cool.
So it's really cool. So this book, let me pull this up. I can do a Denny and Kindle just way to go, Kindle Classic. So this is where I took my notes and stuff. So let me pull it up again. So what I'm going to talk about now is I just went like to the afterword of this one, afterword of Turning Point, which he wrote in, I have to remember. He wrote in 2008, right? So in this, he talks a lot about being old and how it feels to him. And he's really old now. So this was back in 2008. But he has a lot of just this whole like afterword is just amazing. Like I almost just would be happy to read the whole thing to you guys, but that's hard to do. I know. But the thing that he talks about in the afterword first is he says it takes 2 or 3 years to make one film and the world changes drastically during that time. Like he seems to live his life around these films, right? And it takes him 2 to 3 years to make a film, but that's distilled into like 2 hours or so. So he has, when he makes these films, he feels like that he's got these 2 hours to show for that 3 years of life every time. And to him, it feels really weird. It's like this strange like time warp thing that happens then because he just sort of sees his life as these films and they're these 2 hours for 3 years each.
This movie we just watched
some years in between.
Took 7 years to make.
Whoa.
So
he started storyboarding in 2016.
Damn.
Oh man. So
I hope he likes it because it's a big one. It's a big old chunk of his life.
I don't know. I don't know if he necessarily likes it. It's like this is just what he has to do. Mm-hmm. I mean, the way he talks, he definitely has mixed feelings. And that's probably why every time he makes the film, he's like, I'm retired because that's fucking hard.
Yeah.
And I don't want to do that again because I'm exhausted. Right. So he's just what I really like about him over and over again in these interviews. He is contradictory and he's insightful about that. He's like, he's willing to admit that he's not making sense and he's trying to make sense. And I really like that to say. He talks about how he wasn't thrilled about publishing this book. Because when he's told to write, like he speaking for a reason or he's writing for a different reason. And when you collect it all, you just lose the context of what you're trying to accomplish then. Or you were writing because you were told you needed to do it because you were giving an interview for the film or whatever. So it's weird for him to have these things collected. And it's like I didn't do that to have it be written down and other people to read later. I did that because I was promoting a film. So he just sort of like gets at that, a little bit. And he just says he doesn't think of himself as a good person. So he's like, he says, when I speak,
what a guy.
Yeah.
Into the mic, John.
And turn your mic a little bit.
It's hard to do that and read. So, so anyway, so he goes on
two
to say,
things at once, man. Can't do it.
I know. So he says, when I speak in public or I write a piece, I try to narrow my topic and present it in a positive way without expressing my destructive negativity. But that's just one part of me. I'm a person whose negative aspects, brutality, resentment, hatred are much stronger than other people's. Though I have a dangerous moments where my control fails when I suppress my negative aspects and live my life normally. I am thought of as a good person, and that's not my real character. I don't know what kind of person I really am. There seems to be another Hayao Miyazaki unfamiliar to me. I try not to care about this discrepancy anymore, and yet when I see this collection of my writings and my statements, even I can't guarantee that it's the real Miyazaki.
What?
So he struggles. He doesn't feel like he's a good person. People tell him how great he is, and he's like, I used to see the shit in my head.
Yeah, right.
Well, he's just saying, like, I'm like brutal. I have hatred. I have destructive thoughts. I mean, he struggles with that. But he's also saying when he writes, when he's giving these interviews, he tries to be positive because that makes sense, right? I mean, you're not going to sit there and shit all over your work, that's like rude to the people trying to interview you. Or you want to be positive and enthusiastic about the things that you're doing. And so I think that's what he's also trying to say. He's like, that's not necessarily really me, but this is what you do when you talk about your work, right? You don't shit on it, basically, or even like what you're thinking or what you're trying to do. So I think that's really interesting the way he puts it.
Yeah. That's weird. Because I mean, everyone does that. And it's like you change your attitude based in different circumstances. It's not like you, it's still you. How you choose to adapt is like part of who you are, right? I don't know.
It's fair.
He seems confused.
That's why his movies are confused.
But
is confused.
He's like confused, but he's extremely thoughtful and works really hard. Like he really is trying hard. He's trying like hell to express himself, whether he succeeds or not for us or for him. He has this drive to do it. And I think that's what one of the things that's kind of fascinating about him. And in a way, it makes him not an annoying bore. Like, I don't want to necessarily fucking hear about a director talking about their vision and how they accomplished their vision or how they did this, and how great it was, or even like talking about how, like these other people helped them make it great. He's like always saying like, I don't know. I was trying really hard to do this. I probably didn't do that. I don't even know what I wanted to do now, but he's just sort of, I think that shows up in his films again, and maybe why it's so rewatchable. Why? Because that confusion is sort of inherent in them too. They're not as complete. They're not as like, so we'll watch some films that are like, and I like it when we see this. It's like, maybe the films weren't intended to be that way. Or we watch something like Diving Bell and the Butterfly, and maybe it wasn't intended to be this way. We watch that film, and it's like, this film was thought out end to end. They did what they wanted to do. They accomplished what they wanted to do. There's a clear direction to this. And it's fucking clear that they knew exactly what they wanted to do with the perspective, with the scenes, with the story, with the character arcs. And that's great, but that's not what, I don't think that's what Miyazaki does. Right? That his films are so, there's this there's sense of like uncertainty in them of like they really want to convey a message, but they're really not certain they're conveying that exact message anyway. And I think that's what makes them so rewatchable. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think when we talked about Princess Mononoke, reading, you did some book corner stuff, and it gave me a better understanding of what he was going for. It made me appreciate the movie more, because that one is also confusing at the end. And I didn't necessarily like how, some of the bad characters became good at the end and all that stuff. But knowing that he was just trying to represent how conflicted he was about being a human in this world, loving nature, not wanting to destroy it, but knowing that just being alive in an industrial world, like you're a part of the problem at the same time. And he's just kind of like presenting a bunch of themes and realities in the movie. And he doesn't necessarily, I don't think he knows what to say about them, but he's just like, all of these are problems. And this is just the way it is. Like, I think we're fucked, but like, I don't know. Here you go. What do you think?
But I have ideas. I have possible directions or whatever. I'm exploring this. Yeah. I don't know. I think
because he can't explain. Like I watched the documentary on him. He can't explain the movies. Like
but when people ask him, he's like fucking trying, which I appreciate. Yeah. He's not like sitting back there and saying, "Well, it's up to the viewer." I don't know. It's just it's a work of art, and I'm not going to presume to place upon what the viewer should get out of my work because that's presumptuous of me. No, he's like fucking trying really hard to say, "This is what I was trying to do." Damn it!
He's like, "Did it work? Somebody told me it worked."
Is it successful?
I don't know, but I think that to me that seems very different, right? But he's trying really hard and sort of not getting it, not succeeding in a sense, which may be why he keeps trying to make him again. Like maybe this time I'll fucking like do it and feel good about it afterwards.
And it's weird listening to him too. Usually when you have a director explaining their reasoning behind everything that they do, it kind of removes some of the magic from the movies. But with him, it adds to it because
it does.
He like has a bunch of like ideas that there's no easy answer to it. So it just adds to like the lore or whatever, adds to like the amount you can think about the messages that he's trying to shove in there. Like I'm sure The Boy and the Heron had a reason why there was like some stackable blocks, right? I'm sure that means something. Like there's a balance in life, and like the choice he made about not staying in that center of the universe place and going home, like that probably means something too. What does it mean?
I also think that the boy has a decision to make about how he's going to structure his world. Right? So like,
but he doesn't end up doing that, right? They talk about it, but he doesn't end up structuring anything.
And it all just gets thrown away.
Yeah. So like I don't know, but I mean, there's he probably had intent there.
Thoughts about that, yeah.
So I guarantee that he did actually. I don't have to say maybe. He definitely thought about that.
That's what comes through. He everything has meaning to him, whether it's clear or not. He's trying. Mm-hmm. Like he's trying to get meanings and messages across. It's just they're not easy. So afterward he also talks about old age. He's like, he talks about when you reach old age, a door creaks open, and that door opened for me a few years ago after I turned 60. And what I see through the door is not a straight road, but a hazy gray world, as if heaven and earth have merged. When I turn around, I see a familiar alleyway, but I can't return there. The only thing I can do now is walk toward the gray world. Here and there, I see the shadowy figures of my seniors who are walking slightly ahead of me, but it's not as if we build a sense of solidarity and I must walk alone. And when one gets old, each day is a challenge. I need to exercise. I have to take short walks. I have to prepare myself each morning to go to the studio. This is because I can't think about the film I'm working on 24 hours a day as I could when I was more energetic. When my brain matter overheats, the filaments may break off, and I must catch my brainwaves during the short time that I'm able to concentrate. And then
I love that. He's so self-aware of his own deterioration.
He's also so dramatic with how he's
so dramatic.
I know.
I can feel my brain falling apart. Piece by piece.
Capture, right? So this is him, like Miyazaki, dealing with getting old in the same way he's dealt with every fucking other thing. Right. And it's beautiful, and also like it's contradictory too in the same way, right? So he's like, my brain overheats and turn off my head from thinking about the film, and the filaments will break. And that's what it means to grow old. My recent major task is to figure out how to concentrate without overheating my brain.
All right, Miyazaki, you got one task, you old fuck. You got to think without overheating your brain. You got that?
You got that?
You don't want to lose those filaments, Miyazaki. I'm telling you, you're going to need those.
It sounds like, so they opened in April of that year, they opened a companion nursery school for their studio called the House of Three Bears. And he says he wanted to create a nursery school not to do good, but because he wanted to be helped by the children. He says, when I feel when I watch children is above all hope. And I now well understand when people say that old people feel happy when they watch little children. This is a major discovery for me. Even as we discuss various pessimistic topics like the end of civilization or the collapse of mass consumption civilization, or quote unquote, the fate of life on Earth as its crust enters a period of active movement, we cannot come up with any answers about what to do. but we may seem to be living lives free of routine each day, and each experience is a once-in-a-lifetime event, and it's incredibly difficult for us to perceive the significance of the experiences in our own lives. But when we look at children, for them, each day is full of new things. For children, these are a series of significant events, and it is delight to witness these dramatic scenes. I love how he talks about this. That it's just beautiful because I know that too. Like having kids, you see how meaningful each moment is to them in a way that you're long past.
Yeah, right.
Each little thing that happens to them during the day is like so meaningful to them, and it is like it's so alive in a way that when you're old, you don't feel that anymore in the sense of like. Whatever little thing might have happened that day and how meaningful it was to you. Whether
the ones that are meaningful are the ones that pissed you off the most.
right.
not made you like dream and wonder and be imaginative and all that.
Right. And he said, as to what happens to children when they grow up, they become normal, boring adults. And for most adults, there's no glory, there's no happy ending. All that awaits them is life in which even tragedy may be ambiguous. The children, however, always offer a sense of hope. They are the spirit of hope that will experience setbacks, and they are the answer to our future. And I think that in the long history of human race, we have felt this way over and over again. That's how the world is made. It's not that we create something, but that we are already in that cycle. That's why though we may falter, we have not met with destruction. That's how he ends that.
Wow.
He's awesome. He's a mess, and he's like contradictory. And he's constantly cycling on this stuff, but he's so awesome that he just, I don't know. There's such I don't know. It's just so.
Watch out, Gilly. You got a competition
himself.
here. John's,
I know.
You got to knock him off the number one spot.
I'm sorry, Guillermo. Yeah. Well, hey, I can have more than one love, right?
I don't know.
Can't I?
Not in this country.
Oh, shit. Anyway, but yeah, these books are great. I don't know if there's going to be a third. He does mention even in this afterward talking about writing a book about how to live your life, a movie about how to live your life, which based on that book. I don't see her anyway, but he mentions it.
Oh, hell yeah. The new Hayao Miyazaki documentary follows the Boy and the Heron production. Fuck yeah.
Oh, nice.
So it's going to be
nice.
It's going to be like The Kingdom of Dreams and Madness, which I think we can get into that now because I watched that for this.
Yeah, and we might need to have a follow-up if we want on Ghibli.
Yeah, it's not the last Ghibli episode.
No, we'll find another one.
You found a way.
Well, Denny,
buddy.
is there one that's in your constant rotation that we haven't watched?
Kiki's Delivery Service, probably.
Okay. Why not? We'll give it some time and come back to it. I'm happy to do so.
Oh,
anyway.
Also, The Wind Rises is really good, too. I think TC might like that one more because that one's like a straight drama.
Okay.
And it's really intense and good.
Okay.
And that was supposed to be. That was the one he did back in 2013. And we can get into that now because the documentary, The Kingdom of Dreams and Madness, was basically a production documentary made when they were making that movie back in 2013.
Right. Okay.
And that was, again, supposed to be his last movie. But didn't work out that way, obviously. Just Googling, because I thought, like, watching the documentary, I was like, if they would be stupid not to film, since they already did it for like the second most recent movie to film the entire production, just film the production of this one too. They already know how to do it.
I know. I mean, they've got these things down to a science on the BTS side.
The subtitle for this movie is 2,399 Days with Ghibli and Miyazaki.
Wow. That's cool.
Wow. 7 years.
7 years. Wow. What a guy. That's horrible. I can never do him well. Walking's a tough one.
You're better.
Wow.
I think it's pretty good.
Yeah.
You know who you're trying for.
Yeah, that's all that matters. Yeah, right.
Yeah. You're not confusing anybody.
Yeah, right. We know what you're trying to do.
All right. Well, actually, you know what? We might just do a episode on that.
I think we should.
When it comes out.
Yeah.
And then if we want to do Kiki's too, and we can do that, the combo. But or Wind Rises.
And Kiki's is a movie about a witch. We could throw that in there for a Halloween pick at some point,
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. That sounds good. We'll do it.
So this Dreams and Madness documentary is for fans only, I would say. It's really, what's the word for it? Not
gushing?
Procedural, not gushing. It's like really boring, maybe. Tedious, but like not in a bad way, but it's really slow. It's basically just filming them and what they do day to day and following Miyazaki and listening to his very odd things that he says very frequently.
So he does this. is seeing him day to day kind of matching the things I see in his writings and stuff like that?
I don't understand
maybe even
him.
more boring.
It's 2 hours of him talking, and I don't have a read on what he's like. He's such a weird dude.
Just like his movies, right?
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, it's just still the...
And he's not full of himself, and he's pretty negative, honestly. Like, it was weird how negative he was most of the time. He kept saying, like, he's like, oh, this is horribly boring. Like, this movie is going to be terrible. Like, I can't wait for this movie to be done. That kind of thing all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait, what? So there's like 3 people that pretty much make Studio Ghibli who they are. There's the Takahata director who did Grave of the Fireflies, and he's done some other movies. There's Miyazaki, who's done most of the movies we've watched. And then there's a producer, Suzuki is his name. Suzuki's a producer, and he's the guy that motivates these 2 directors to keep making movies. The Takahata guy, at the same time The Wind Rises was coming out, he did Princess Kaluuya or something like that. You don't know how to pronounce it, but it took him 8 years to make that movie, and it was his last movie.
Wow.
And he didn't want to do it, basically. Like, there was
like,
the producers, the producer was on there a lot talking about how he had to like force him to keep going. And he basically, Miyazaki starts with storyboards, and then this producer guy forces him to finish it. That's kind of their working relationship. So by the end of it, or even by like the very beginning of it, Miyazaki seems like he's pretty tired of
That's why
it all.
He quits every time. He's like, I retire. This is it.
But then I guess like when he starts, he has a bunch of ideas, and that motivates him enough to like jump into the pool again. But he didn't. They showed a lot of footage, and they were doing like full blown animation for scenes, and Miyazaki was still working on the storyboards. So like halfway through the production of The Wind Rises, he finishes the storyboards.
Wow.
Which was confusing because I didn't know that's what he was doing the whole time. But like he's sitting, at his desk doing the storyboards. Everyone else is running with everything else he's already put on paper. They're doing like all the keyframe animations, all the paintings, all the everything else, right? And Miyazaki's just working on the storyboards. And then he goes around and checks. He used to, before this movie, this Boy and the Heron movie was the first movie he's done where he didn't review every single frame of animation. He used to do that.
Wow.
No wonder why he was tired.
Fucking insane.
Right?
That's crazy.
They had a different guy be the animation director in this movie.
Was there much...
Takashi Honda is his name.
Was there much that was CGI in Heron, or...
I couldn't. I mean, it looked less CG.
I did not see.
I didn't notice any of that.
It looked less CG than Spirited Away.
Right, because Spirited Away, there were some 3D shots that looked CG. But this one looked totally hand-drawn.
I was just wondering if they had CGI on it.
I don't think so, because it took them fucking forever to do this. So even without the pandemic, in, 2019, they said they had 15% of the animation done. And it was supposed to be coming out in 2020. And by the middle of 2020, they said, May 2020, 36 minutes done. And they had 60 animators working on it for years at that point, and only 36 minutes were done. So they didn't have a deadline after then. They originally planned in like 2017 when they announced that this movie was going to come out to line it up with the 2020 Summer Olympics. But, pandemic fucked shit up. And also they were already behind. So like they weren't going to make that 2020 deadline anyway. But yeah, by the end of production, they had 100 animators working on this movie, all the time. He said that his workday was from 11 a.m. on the dot. He made sure, because that's pretty early, 11 a.m. on the dot to 9 p.m. at night.
Oh, wow.
That's a long day.
And an interesting
time. 10 hours.
And an interesting,
also for a
time frame.
70 plus to 80-year-old, like this covering his
So actually, I'm jumping around here. That was his schedule for the Wind Rises.
Oh, the Wind Rises.
Still
sorry,
I'm
sorry, I forget. Right. But he's like still then he's in his like 60s. Right?
He's 82 now.
He's like 70, yeah.
So he was like 72 because that was like 10 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, he's working like 10-hour days.
Yeah. And the reason it was so late is because he had to get up and he had to exercise and he went and
do all the old
picked
man
up
things.
Trash and like ate his food and showered and stretched. Stretching is a big thing when you're old.
I mean, you got to stay out limber and active or you can't do it.
They had a little song every once in a while. Like every day was multiple times a little song would get on and everyone would have to stand up and do a little like pantomime stretch.
Oh, wow.
And that was to like get everyone up because everyone's hunched over their chairs the entire time.
I know. It's so bad for you.
Yeah. So they're like, everyone stretch, stand up straight, don't fuck yourselves up too much because you're definitely fucking yourselves up. There's no helping that.
Right. Yeah,
that's right.
I know.
We're still going to do this. I feel bad that we're doing this,
but
we're
we are
still
definitely
gonna do
doing it. So, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm really sorry. Let's try to ease the pain.
If you need to lay down on the floor, get your back straight. That's good.
You
get 5 minutes of floor time.
Yeah, we can get floor
Don't talk
time.
about
You're all
it.
good.
Yeah.
But I swear to God, if you're not back on your desks in 15 minutes.
He had, so Miyazaki and Suzuki, the producer, they went back 35 years as coworkers.
Wow.
In 2013. So
how cool is that?
Yeah, they've known each other for a while. There's a lot of different pencil types. Watching this movie, they had like entire closets full of different sizes of pencils, and there were scenes in the movie where they'd like be drawing stuff, and they're like, "Oh no, don't use the 5A, use the 5B." And you're like, "That looks the exact
How could I forget the 5B?"
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But it's just crazy to think like all these animators just have knowledge of all these codes for different pencil sizes and the uses for them in different scenarios. So there's 400 employees at Ghibli, just 100 animators and 400 other people.
That's amazing.
There's a very large marketing team, and there's also a franchise. Not what is it called? Product stuff.
Yeah.
What do you call that? Is that franchise? Merchandising. There you go. Yeah, merchandising. And they also have a museum, and there's a lot of employees at the museum as well. And I'm sure there's more now since they opened up that Ghibli World.
They have a nursery
place
school.
And the nursery school.
Ghibli school.
Yeah. The staff during the making of the movies tell him frequently that they don't know what's going on in the movie that they're animating.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Because they're working all out of sync and shit, or out of order too, I'm sure.
Yeah. Miyazaki's excuse for the confusingness in his movies is he says, quote, "The world is not simple enough to explain in words." So that's kind of the reason why.
I like that.
Too.
He works 6 days a week. In the morning during his routine to get ready, he picks up trash around the area as a thing he does. And then every Sunday he gets the day off and he spends all day cleaning a river by his house.
What?
And he does that every weekend.
Wow.
So all he does in his spare time is pick trash up. That's it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Is he married?
I like that a lot.
Does he have like family?
He has a son. They didn't show his wife at all, but he has a son, and his son has actually directed a couple of Ghibli movies.
Oh,
and he was in the documentary, and he, even more than Miyazaki, didn't want to direct it. He's like, I don't know why you guys want me to do this. I don't think I'm the right person to do this. I'm not talented. Like, you're just like, Jesus Christ, you are.
Block, man.
Yeah, right. You're even worse than he is, man. You're going to get
this is
so
awesome.
bad when you're old.
Like, yeah, right.
Right. That kind of reluctance is exactly what we're looking for.
Exactly. Right.
And John was talking about how like the world goes by as he's making these. The Fukushima disaster was right before the making of this movie, so they talked a lot about that and how that influenced like the direction of the movie and the serious tone and his outlook on the world, sort of thing. He's kind of just like, yeah, this world's going to shit so fast. We're all fucked, and there's nothing we can do.
I mean, it's true.
He's a self-proclaimed manic depressive. I don't know if that's clinical, but
that's
I wouldn't necessarily doubt it.
Right.
He takes sleeping pills and has for a while because he can't sleep with the way his brain works.
Yeah.
So that's tough.
Yeah.
He said, I just have a couple of quotes I wrote down here as he's rambling. How do we even know if movies are worthwhile? ? How do we even know?
How do we know?
We don't know.
We have no clue.
And that's something you mentioned the afterward too. He's like, they'll be gone in like 30 years. You know, it's like, it's not going to survive for very long. It's like, well, anything is probably.
Yeah,
for the
probably.
most part. But he was like mentioning like a Japanese silent film director that was like completely forgotten, even though he was like a master at the time, saying, you know, after a certain period of time, they'll be gone. You know,
I don't know about these movies though.
I don't know
who's gonna spend the time to hand draw this shit, right? Like this is pretty damn unique.
That's the idea where like I was talking about last week. Like Guillermo had that quote about this is like being able to witness Mozart. There are certain things that people keep around for pretty much a long. I don't think like it's not like Mozart or Beethoven is just going to be forgotten. I don't think ever, right? But they're
doing pretty good so far, right? They're like They're winning.
Right, right. They're able to be like they're able to keep on riding the wave of like actually being known about, and maybe his stuff will be too. But yeah, it is an interesting idea, and again, but that's so typical of him to question the value of anything he's doing while at the same time feeling really passionate about it and working his ass off.
I mean, he's a manic depressive. It seems right.
And another quote is, most of the world is rubbish. Miyazaki.
Oh yeah, put that on a t-shirt.
What a
Put that on
positive
a
guy.
t-shirt.
That's
I'll
right.
wear that t-shirt.
But it's still contradictory because his work is so life affirming. For him to do this, it's very human, and to be creative and to publish these things, that act in of itself is very life affirming.
Mhm.
So that contradicts him saying these things in a sense. If you really were a nihilist, you would just fuck off and not do anything.
Mhm.
And so it again, when he even says those things, it's like, yeah, but here
He
you
sounds
are
like
doing
multiple
this
personalities,
yeah.
in his
Yeah,
brain.
I mean, it probably shifts from day to day for him, project to project. It all, it depends on what it is.
Maybe, yeah.
Takahata and Miyazaki met at Toei Animations, TOEI, where they were just animators, and Suzuki was like, "You guys are really good. How about we start our own company?"
And I make a lot of money.
Yeah. So that was right after
That's not for
Nazca.
Suzuki. I don't know Suzuki at all. But
Suzuki's the producer guy, yeah.
I know, but maybe he's like wanting to see this stuff happen. But yeah,
But he
Anyway, go
saw
on.
what Miyazaki did with Nazca of the Valley of the Wind, because that was not Ghibli yet. But he's like, "You
it was
guys
a
need to
manga
come over
though,
here."
right? He wrote the
He did. So he wrote a manga,
Right.
and then he directed the anime
or
and,
manga, however.
and then that was so good, and the
I'd like
producer
to
was like,
read
"We
that
need to
at some
start
Anyway.
a company here so we can
Yeah.
have our own animation studio, because you guys will carry us to success."
I'm like, we don't really want to make movies, and he's like, fuck, I don't care. I'm gonna make you do it, and thus the relationship was born.
I don't give a shit. You're doing it. Sit down and shut up. Yeah.
One of the most interesting parts of the documentary was a scene where they were in a room talking about all of the auditions that just came in for the lead character of The Wind Rises, and how they didn't like any of the people. Like, they were just had a stack of papers with names, and he's like, "All these people are terrible. It's not going to work. They're all actors. Like, they're not even voice actors. They're just regular actors." And they read the lines terribly. And then they started throwing out names, and they threw out this guy's name, Anno, Anno. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but
Okay.
there was somebody they knew, just knew because he drew one of the giant robots in Nazca of the Valley of the Wind. So he's an animator, and he went on to direct separately as have his own career in directing animation stuff. But they knew this guy because I worked with him, and they liked his voice, and they looked up YouTube videos of this guy talking, and they sat in a room just listening to YouTube videos of this guy, trying to imagine what his voice would sound like in the lead character. And they convinced themselves that it would be a good idea. They called the guy who's never voice acted before, and they're like, "You want to come in and audition?" So he did. They brought him in, and it's the guy that's in the movie for The Wind Rises.
Nice.
This guy, this random ass non-actor guy. But then they got Joseph Gordon-Levitt for the dub, so I don't even know what that guy sounds like in the movie.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Got to go with the Gordon-Levitt when he can.
Oh, yeah.
Another quote: "I'm done movie making. It's futile now."
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
See you next time.
He did a really cool thing. They didn't really explain what he was doing, but he had all the storyboards in front of him, and he had a stopwatch, and he would look at the storyboards, and he would start the timer and close his eyes, and then he would stop the timer and then look at the stopwatch. So I think he was trying to time out how much time each shot should last from the storyboards, and then he would make notes.
Basically what he was thinking should
Based on
happen.
he was trying to imagine the scene and what a natural period of time would be for what he thought the storyboard was, and then he would time it with a stopwatch with his eyes
So
closed.
he could tell the animators, this is how
It
long
should be
this
about
should
5
take.
seconds. Yeah.
Yeah,
right.
make this last
Yeah.
3 seconds, okay? Make this last 6 seconds.
Holy
Yeah.
shit.
It's pretty cool.
It is. It's just
he
so
invented
granular.
his own way.
It's so granular too. It's very Wes Anderson has some of that in him, right?
Yeah.
Right.
But at least Wes Anderson has normal scripts, right? This guy's just
Right.
storyboards, no words,
And just
with
made up worlds.
time frames.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
And all the animators are like, "I'll do what he tells me. I don't know what I'm
what
doing though."
but it's
I know,
Miyazaki.
but
So
he
shut up.
fucking makes people go and see the shit, so it'll work out.
Mm-hmm. They asked him where he sees the studio going in the future, and he says it's going to fall apart. It's inevitable. It's going to happen. It's going to happen soon.
Yeah.
There's no stopping
There's no
it.
sign.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
We're all doomed.
It's coming. It's pretty funny.
Yeah. And I think, let me just see if I have anything else. I'm pretty close to being done. So for this movie too, The Boy and the Heron, jumping to this, that was the end of that documentary. Just a couple of things in The Boy and the Heron. Miyazaki's pace used to be he could do 10 minutes of animation per month. That seems pretty slow, right?
No, but for meticulous stuff, that's
pretty good.
Probably a lot.
For this movie, he went down to 1 minute per month, 10 times slower than his other productions.
Wow.
Because of his age.
Wow.
Yeah.
And and that's even with offloading the animation director from him.
Wow.
So, I mean, I don't know. Watching it on the big screen, it's hard to judge, but like just the first view of this, I was like, this is the best looking thing he's done, right? That was my initial impression. And I'm not going to be able to know for sure until I put it on my TV and can like A/B it with something else. That's where you compared
all the other things you've been watching, yeah.
It could have just been because it was on a big screen.
Maybe, but I still was, parts of it were astonishing, like just beautiful.
When they, so I don't know if you noticed in the past 7 years, the Studio Ghibli movies are available for streaming.
And they did like through,
it was HBO Max for a while.
Is it HBO Max and then
it's Disney now, I think.
And now it's Disney? Is it? Yeah.
And they did that. They didn't want to do that ever, but this movie was stretched out so far that they needed financing. So they did it because they were like, this movie is killing us.
To help like fund that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Because they had, 100 animators working 6 days a week for 7 years. That's a lot of money.
Well, yeah. This one's doing well though, right? Like it's
doing pretty well, but not like it broke records because I think they picked the weakest weekend of the year to open. It made 13 million in the States opening weekend, and it was number one, which is a very low number one. But
still for a
cool
Japanese animation film.
It was the first time a Ghibli movie was number one, and it was the first time an original anime was number one in the United States and in Canada.
Yeah.
It broke the past Ghibli record in Japan. Howl's Moving Castle was the highest grossing opening weekend before. Now The Boy and the Heron is.
Yeah.
Looking at so we're 2 weeks out from this movie now. It was number one, but now it's number three. It dropped like 60%. Which is a lot.
Wow.
So and they opened in more theaters too, thinking it might do really well, but it seems like it's going to drop off a cliff because I think most of the diehards probably saw it opening weekend and it doesn't have any advertising. Yeah, and the reason I think I already said this one. So I think we're good.
Okay.
All right. Well, that was a good one. What are we doing
Top
next?
250. Top 250.
I don't know. I don't think so.
Oh,
I would put it there for the imagery and the animation alone.
I would put it there for the imagery, animation, and everything else in it.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll die on this grenade.
Yeah.
Where's Robert Pattinson's Oscar for voice acting? Come on, guys. They need a new category for voice acting.
He was awesome. I agree. I had no idea it was him. No idea.
So next week, we don't know what we're going to do because we don't know what Oscar movies are going to be available in a couple of weeks after the holiday season.
All right, well, we'll just go with it then.
Yeah, go to the web. If you're curious, I don't know even when we're going to come back with an episode. It'll be in January. So enjoy the holidays.
Yes.
Couple week break there.
Yep.
And then we'll put on the website.
You might want to republish Die Hard or something.
Ooh, Christmas movie.
Not a bad idea.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah. That one's a good one.
This one's coming out on Christmas Day, though. Like how we lined that up. We lined up the last Ghibli movie with the last Ghibli movie.
Yeah, that's good. Nice.
Well,
not the last. Well, who knows if the last, but we'll see.
Fingers crossed.
Very likely, but still.
Yeah. I'm not sure he has another 7 years in it.
It's not shit. That's good. It's not like
it's
oh
not
man.
Shit.
It's
That's
not
the review.
shit.
Put it on the box.
It's not shit.
Yeah.
He's 82 and it's not shit. Yeah.
Right. That's awesome. That's good for him. God damn it. I mean, imagine being 82 and putting out being responsible for a work like this.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
Yep.
Pretty sweet.
Okay.
All right. Let's get into some weird foreign Oscar nominee movies next year.
Let's go.
All right. Sounds
crazy,
good.
weird stuff.
Yeah. Woo.
Talk to you guys in 2024.
All right. Yeah. Have a good holiday, guys.
Yeah, you too.